Welcome back to the Football Martin channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's your pre-match preview ahead of Ipswich versus Southampton in the Championship this weekend. It's a huge one. It's a massive one. It's game week 2 and it feels like a big game already. Ipswich versus Southampton, 2 promotion favourites go head to head at Portman Road in a Sunday lunchtime kickoff. It's a heavyweight clash. It's been billed as the biggest game of the weekend and probably the biggest game of the season so far. Southampton showed that they can dig in when it matters most, and against Wrexham we were 1-0 down with only a few minutes of added time left, but struck in the 90th and the 96th minute. Thanks to Jack Stevens and that winner, the roof lifted on St Mary's and everybody around the fan base felt a lot better about the season ahead. Ipswich, they failed to do what we've done. In both competitive games so far, they've only picked up a point up at Birmingham City, and then they went out of the Cup in midweek. We will cover all of that on today's show. But Saints, they need to keep the momentum going. And what I say at this stage of the season is just try and average 2 points a game until the transfer window closes. Ipswich, they've had a real mixed start, like I said. It was a penalty late in the game against Birmingham City, and then it was that EFL defeat in midweek. Saints, they have a really good record at Portman Road. 3 wins in the last 4 away matches versus Ipswich, and we have scored 12 goals in that time. Ipswich's mixed start has added pressure to them and their manager after that EFL Cup stumble in midweek. And talking about that EFL Cup stumble, we're going to bring in Matt from Talking Town on today's show, and he's going to give us a feeling around the Ipswich fan base. He's going to give us an insight actually into the summer's transfer business, and we're going to look ahead to the weekend's game as well. Welcome along to the show. Great to have you here, mate.
Thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back on. I mean, we've done this show in the Championship, into the Premier League, and back into the Football League again. So we seem to be following each other around.
We're like following each other, aren't we? Great work on the channel, first and foremost. I was watching your pre-match show last night, actually. I was finishing it off just a minute ago. Obviously, a lot of talk about the EFL Cup game in midweek. But let's go back a bit further before we talk about that game against Bromley in midweek. I want to talk to you about the end of last season. We've not really caught up since then. It was a horrible season for both of us, probably more so for us than you. But what were your takeaways from the Premier League?
Well, I think all the sort of mainstream media were focusing on Southampton. Could they beat the worst points record and all that? And I'm glad you did, because no one wants that around their neck, do they? But we weren't much better, quite frankly. I mean, look, we do finish second from bottom with 26 points. We weren't that much better, and you took 4 points off us for the season and beat us at Portman Road, which was really probably the final nail in the coffin. You just get a flavour, don't you, when you've been down there before, that you think that we're going to get relegated now. And I think that was probably the game, really. I mean, look, we all go in with aspirations, don't we? And it's interesting looking at Sunderland, Burnley, Leeds, and they're all thinking they can finish mid-table, and they've all made some decent signings. But the reality of the Premier League is somewhat different, isn't it? I mean, we were toe-to-toe with Wolves for a long time. We beat them at Molineux around just before Christmas. It really looked nailed on that we were probably going to finish above them, and then they bringing that Vitor Pereira. They nearly got double our points by the time we got to May. Do you know what I mean? So that just shows you the gulf, doesn't it? I don't know how Ipswich or Southampton can bounce back stronger. It's so difficult. I mean, you get a lot of fans will say, "Oh, well, we'll go back up and we'll come back stronger." How do you do that? How do you bridge the gap? At the moment, it seems impossible. It seems like a 17-team league, and another 3 just chancing their arm and seeing what they can do, and hoping and praying that someone has a bad season. But the more they all stay up there and get the money, the less likely that is to happen, I think.
Yeah, I should talk to you about the 3 that have gone up, actually. How do you see the 3 going? Premier League kicks off tomorrow night at the time of recording. We're recording on Thursday, Friday night's first game of the season. Sunderland gone up, which was a big surprise, wasn't it? And then you've got Burnley bounce straight back up, and then Leeds United at second attempt are back. How do you see the 3 faring?
Well, I think it's sort of the obvious take is that everyone seems to think Leeds could do all right because they're a big name, big fan base, a giant of a club really that fell upon hard times and is now bounced back. But that doesn't still bridge the gap for me. It's going to be, I mean, just because you've got a big name and you've got a big stadium and you've got a passionate fan base, we could say that about all the other clubs, really. I mean, I just don't see how they're going to. I don't see how they're going to get to 40 points. at the moment. They might surprise me, might get off to a really good start. And I wish them all the best. Do you know what I mean? Sunderland are making big moves, aren't they? Brought in Granit Xhaka and a few others. Be interesting. But again, can they bridge that gap? Burnley might have an opportunity if they can be as defensively sound as they were in the Championship. I mean, they don't even let in something like 20 goals, do they? Over 46 games, something crazy.
It's outrageous, yeah.
So, but can they score the goals at the other end? Is the other thing. I certainly think though those three are probably going to be the favourites to be relegated because I just don't see how they bridge the gap. I just can't see it. But I'm happy to be proved wrong. Good luck to all three because no one wants a monopoly on the Premier League. You want to see different clubs in there and different clubs going down into the Championship, don't you? So good luck to them. But it's really difficult.
Yeah, Matt, what's your biggest takeaway from last season in the Premier League? Any takeaways from it?
Probably physicality, which has been kind of the buzzword around Portman Road this season.
It was down here as well, yeah.
We were a very small side, actually. Take Liam Delap out of the equation. Suddenly you've got Sammy Smodix, Amari Hutchinson, Connor Chaplin. We were quite a tiny team, really. And you saw kind of the quality that you had in midfield because we started the season with Morsey and Nwongo. We'll come to them in a minute. They're both gone now. Sort of veteran campaigners, really, and not the biggest either. Then you come up against someone like a Wolves who've got Cunha in there and a couple of others. It's like the Brazilian midfield that was playing in yellow, do you know what I mean, in like the international break against Argentina. Then they're suddenly playing at Portman Road. It was like crazy. So kind of that physicality, really. And I think even though we say the Championship is a physical division, when you go into the Premier League, they've got physicality with technique as well, those sides. Yeah. And that's the difference maker, I think. Now, whether or not Burnley, Sunderland, Leeds can add that to their sides. Like, for example, at Leeds, they got the Japanese lad, haven't they? Io Tanaka, who's looked really good in the Championship last season. Is he going to get lost in the Premier League as a Premier League player? He's got all the technical skills. Is he going to be able to compete over 38 games in the Premier League midfield? I mean, that will remain to be seen. Good luck to him, but that's the buzzword around Portman Road.
It was down here. Russell Martin spoke about physicality a lot, actually. Said that they didn't have it. But he spoke about that in athleticism, a bit about being athletic. The team, they undercooked it, how we undercooked it when we were well established as a Premier League club before that. I don't know. I find that quite incredible. Our recruitment was dreadful. Yours was a lot better than ours going into the Premier League. Going into this season, for any Southampton fan that's not so in touch with what Ipswich have done in the summer, what's happened since relegation? The big thing is you kept the manager because there was a lot of speculation about him going to Brentford. That didn't happen. But what's happened with players? What's the squad looking like?
Well, I mean, the big loss, of course, was Delap. We went right at the end of last season.
That was early, wasn't it?
Yeah, so he'd gone. I mean, he was getting touted round to everyone in the Premier League, I think, from about March, April onwards. Actually, probably after you beat us in February. Well, he started getting touted.
He should have scored against us that day as well, by the way. He should have scored. It would have been a different game at 0-0 if he'd scored that, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. And then you still stole it late at the end, didn't you? But yeah, so he went. I mean, he had a bizarre season. If you'd said to us at the start of that season that he would actually end the season and go into the summer to be a Club World Cup winner and receive the trophy from Donald Trump, I'd have been asking what you've been drinking. You know what I mean? But that was a real end to the season for him. I mean, he ends up with silverware and a Club World Champion medal. So there you go. So he's gone. He did perform better than what everyone thought. There wasn't that much hype when he joined us. All the hype was from Jacob Greaves, and they played together at Hull City the season before in the Championship. And all the talk was around him and could this be a defender that moves on into the England setup pretty quickly? And then here comes Delap behind him. You know, Manchester City youngster, did okay at Hull, played on the right wing mostly. Then, of course, he plays in his natural position for us as the 9 and starts pulling up trees, doesn't he? And, you know, making headlines and scoring worldie goals and all that kind of stuff. So he went and he had a relegation clause in his contract and Chelsea triggered and off he went. And then the other big miss for us, of course, is Morsey, which was a bit of a shock to everyone. I mean, we knew he was in the twilight of his career at Portman Road. I mean, even the destination is a shock. He's gone to like the Man City of Kuwait football. FC Kuwait, I think they're called. They start their season in September. So he's gone on a free. I mean, if anyone deserves
him go, you're disappointed to see him go.
Yeah. I think everyone's disappointed to see him go because he's been kind of shoulder to shoulder with McKenna in the back-to-back promotions. Yeah. Paul Cook would have persuaded him to leave Middlesbrough to come to us in League One and be the captain of the club. and he, by his own admission, he was kind of out of love with football at that point. And he said we renewed his love for the game, and why not? I mean, right, look, Cook goes, McKenna comes in, we get the back-to-back promotions, we go into the Premier League. But I think everyone probably saw him as more of a squad player going into this season if he had stayed. Reduced role, handing the captaincy over to Dara O'Shea, which has happened. But Moulsey, you know, he got an offer, probably life-changing money as you get over in the Middle East in these leagues.
Yeah, huge.
And, you know, I think they've offered him a wonderful place to live. I mean, you're not going to say no, are you? So he's gone. And we'd already lost Luongo. He had his goodbye against West Ham on the final day of the season. So he had gone as well. I mean, there'd probably been a role for now Luongo to play if he'd stayed at Portman Road, knowing Morsey had gone. But of course, we didn't know that at the time. He's gone off to Millwall and came on in their first game of the season against Norwich, ironically. So they're kind of like, they're the big ones. And of course, you speak about the game where you beat us 2-1 and we had Muric in goal for that game. And Ipswich fans have had a love-hate relationship with him, as we've covered before when he's been on our channel. There's nothing like first impressions. And his first impression as a debut against Manchester City away at the Etihad was 2 errors. And we lose 4-1. And he never kind of recovered.
He cost you the game against us, to be fair. If you had Aaron Ramsdale goal, you would have won the game. It was that simple.
Yeah.
Really. That was the difference between the sides, because the sides on paper that day, I think Ipswich probably edged that game, in my opinion, and would have walked away like pretty pissed that you'd not got anything out of the game.
Yeah, so he's now, it was kind of writing on the wall kind of job, really, that he would go. It was just who would take him on loan. And Sassuolo in Italy, champions out of Serie B, gone back in Serie A, kind of like a Brentwood, Bournemouth of Italy, I would say. They'd had a long time, a bit like yourselves, had a long time in the top flight, 10 years plus, dropped back down, come back up again. So he's gone there probably to be their number one. And so I don't think there's any love lost there, sadly. Really good keeper on his day. I mean, but, you know, where he's like dominant in the box, he's like 6'6", 6'7", and coming in for corners and free kicks and being dominant with the takes, as you saw against you. Just had an error, like every other game, he had an error in there, just not, like never recovered. And we've lost Twanzebe as well, who's gone back into the Premier League with Burnley. So
he's a good player. I liked him a lot, actually.
Yeah, he was playing out of position as well. I mean, he was a centre half for Man United and captain Man United in a couple of their League Cup games, I think. And then he had problems with injuries, had loans with like Stoke and Villa, I think. Didn't get a deal at Luton when they were Premier League, came to us because he knows McKenna. McKenna turned him into a right back, pretty much played there for most of his town career. And then Burnley come in out of contract and he's gone. And then the other defender that's gone is Cameron Burgess, who's gone to Swansea. Again, he was kind of like Greaves' deputy, I suppose. I mean, McKenna could never really decide between the two last season. They both would get a run of games. It was never really kind of nailed on. I think probably Greaves did the more appearances, but you weren't ever surprised to see Burgess come in, and he's gone on and he wants regular football because he wants to be with Australia in the World Cup at the end of this time next year. So you can see why he'd have gone. But I think if you spoke to all the fans, they're probably disappointed of all those players leaving, other than maybe Muric, who was it's probably the best for his career if he was to move on. You know.
Yeah, who's become number one? Who's going to be the goalkeeper, do you think, this season?
Alex Palmer, who we brought in to cover Muric.
Yeah, has
by
he been
January.
signed? Is that a loan or is that a signing?
He was permanent. We bought him for about 2 million, I think. So we bought him in January. Yeah, because I mean, this was a saga going on. So like Muric got a run of games, and Christian Walton came in. Then I think Walton was injured, and then Muric comes back against you, and then Palmer comes in to actually, and he was the starter right through to the end of the season. He looks a good keeper. Whether or not he's got the feet that McKenna wants, that's what Muric had. He could spray the ball around like a central midfielder, fantastic. But he just had too many.
He's great with the ball at his feet.
Yeah. I mean, come through the academy at Manchester City. That's how they're all, that's how they're all trained, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think Palmer really has that. I don't think he's as comfortable with the ball to his feet. But good shot stopper. Had a brilliant kind of league debut at Villa Park for us. We got a 1-1 draw down to 10 men. Twanzebe got sent off in that. He was brilliant in that. So it goes full circle, doesn't it? What was his first impression? Saves us the draw at Villa Park when we were down to 10 men. So it was just the other side of the coin that Muric didn't have, sadly.
Yeah. Incomings, the summer so far. Ashley Young, he's coming. I saw that one because it was obviously heavily publicised. Any other incomings that you're excited by? Any of the incomings first and foremost?
Ashley Young's played well so far. He's had cameos in both games. He's done all right. Well, I mean, we bought in as Azor Matasiwa from Stade Rennes, who's Morsey's replacement. So we bought in for about 10 million. He's kind of like, doesn't look like the kind of player who's going to cross the halfway line too often. So like an N'Golo Kante style, proper CDM. He had a baptism of fire against Birmingham at St Andrews. I guess we'll come to that in a minute. He's come in. Also out of the French league from Reims is Cedric Kepre. You might remember was at West Bromwich Albion, Cardiff.
Yeah, centre back. Yeah, he was a good centre back.
Yeah,
strong,
absolute
big,
unit. Yeah, he's going to probably be Greaves's. Again, he's coming as the to replace Burgess, I would say. Come and be that deputy on the left hand side of defence or cover when there's injuries. He looks good with the ball at his feet. To be fair, reminds me of Titus Bramble a little bit of a unit, comfortable with the ball, can break out across the halfway line with it, start an attack. Also looks like he's got a bit of an error in him as well. So actually he's ticking all the Titus Bramble boxes. And Ashley Young, like you say, I mean, what we've lost in the experience of Morsey and Luongo, Ashley Young will bring that in abundance. Funny, I mean, look, Man United, Inter Milan, Everton. Did sound like 19, 20 appearances, all starts actually for Everton at Goodison last season. Fit as a fiddle. Looks good.
I mean, good in the last game of the season when we were there. He put more crosses in the box in 70 minutes than we did in the whole season. I'm not joking. Honestly, he did. He was good, and I thought to myself, like I'm 42. He's not like that much younger than me. He's still playing. It's like it's quite incredible, really. He looks fit as a fiddle. You'll get a good season out of him, and he's got that experience, that leadership. You know, it's a lot to be said for that. You know.
Yeah, I watch a lot of UFC. I watch a lot of boxing. It's not unusual now to see fighters go into their 40s, but it's still unusual, isn't it? In football, you might get the odd keeper here or there. I know Zlatan did. James Milner still going. But it's unusual, isn't it? And you tend to find supporters will focus on that as the stat. Oh, well, he's 40 years old. And I was like, you're looking at the wrong stat. Look at the Man United, England tournaments, Inter Milan. I mean, that's what that's what he brings. We've got familiar faces come back in. Jens Kahuste. He's come back in on loan from Napoli. We had a deal. So he came in at the start of last season. We had a deal that if we stayed up, we would have bought him for about 10 million. So then we'll see. We don't stay up. He goes back to Napoli. He's not a part of Conte's plans after they win the Scudetto. So he would look like he's been shopped around all sorts. Palace, Burnley, Besiktas. So spent most of his summer flying back and forth around Europe by the looks of things. Saudi Arabia was another one as well, one of them clubs. So maybe he could have gone and taken the money, but we put a deal on the table to him, and he said he wanted to come back. So that was a real surprise for us. I wasn't massive. I mean, I'm in the minority when I say this. I wasn't that impressed with his stats in the Premier League, to be honest with you. He got better as the season progressed. Like again, he was our attacking sort of that box to box player, but no assists really, barely shot. It was only from about March onwards that he started really performing for me, but certainly his passing stats weren't great. His defensive stats weren't great. He was good at kind of interceptions and dribbling away with the ball. And I expect to probably see him improve on that in the Championship in the level below. But there was huge question marks around his stamina, his fitness. I think when we played you at St Mary's was September, wasn't it, in the Premier League? And
it was early.
I think from that game onwards, he had a bit of a niggle, which I don't think maybe impacted him a little bit. I don't know how he's going to deal with playing extra games. You know, the Saturday, Tuesday schedule. You have Saturday, Sunday, or whatever in the Premier League. It's easy to recover.
It's relentless in the Championship.
It's really relentless.
Yeah.
So it feels like we need. It feels like we need someone for him. But I think at this level he's going to be good. But of course, if we go up, there's a deal to sign him. But we'll have to wait and see. He's very popular with the fans. I do like him as a person. I do like his style of play. But you just break down the stats a little bit. You didn't even have to do much of a deep dive really to think, well, midfield was one of our problems last season, and him and Morsey probably just wasn't good enough. Yeah. And then from Ajax, we brought in Chuba Akpom, who you might remember from Borough, where he played in a kind of a number 10 role for Borough under Carrick and got like 28, 30 goals. Used to be an Arsenal Academy player. Yeah. So he's come in. Has it worked out from Ajax? Probably not. I think he had a bit of a spell at Lille last season, but look, he's played Champions League football. He'll be coming in. We don't really know where he's going to be playing. I mean, it makes sense for him to play on the number 10 role because I've not included him in departures yet, but it looks like maybe even by the time this goes live, Nathan Broadhead would have gone to Wrexham for about 10 million, 7.5 to 10 mil. I think Akpom coming into Ipswich is going to trigger that deal. So I'm sure that'll be over the line by the time people are watching this. And then we've got Ivan Azon coming in from Como. He's been at Real Zaragoza. He's coming in as probably a number 9 for us, paying a loan fee according to Fabrizio Romano. And then if we go up, there's a deal to be done for about 10, 12 million. So he's a bit of an unknown quantity. We've only ever had 4 Spanish players at Ipswich, so it'd be him. Ivan Campo, you remember, from Real Madrid and Bolton. Pablo Cunyago, who was a real fan favourite. So if Ivan can follow in his footsteps, it'd be great. We had a defender called Cito as well. So we haven't had too many Spanish players at Portman Road before. So hopefully that will be announced by the time this is live as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of talk about Amari Hutchinson. Everton with some interest. They're very interested in Tyler Dibbling. And I was listening actually to BBC last night. One of the correspondents on Merseyside had said about Amari Hutchinson. They're very keen on Tyler Dibbling. I think he's the man they want, but they're kind of stuck on trying to broker a deal with Southampton. Has there been any talk around Portman Road of Hutchinson and Everton, or is that fairly quiet at the moment?
No, I'd say that's probably a new link. So, I mean, if Dibbling was to go, what are you talking? 50 million? Is that what you're holding out for?
Yeah, that's what Southampton want. Yeah, they want 50 million. They've come in with a bid around 40 million plus some add-ons, and Southampton have rejected it. They want more.
Okay, that's interesting, because I think if Everton come with 40 million from Amari Hutchinson at Portman Road, he will go, because he had a relegation clause that expired. Brentford did trigger it, but didn't quite meet all the criteria in the contract, whatever that might have been. So the deal didn't happen at 35. I think Everton come in at 40. I think Amari Hutchinson will probably go. I mean, look, he didn't play against Birmingham because he was ill, apparently. Then he didn't play against Bromley because he felt he couldn't contribute, which to me is, I don't want to play because I want to go and play in the Premier League, which is a bit of a diva move for me. I don't like that. I mean, you're being paid by a club, and you're putting your own interests ahead of the club and the supporters. So I find that a little bit disrespectful. I mean, he doesn't want to. I mean, it's probably not the player; it's the agent that is driving this, and the player gets the flack, doesn't he? Because he's in the public eye. Yeah, and Amari's been fantastic for us in the Championship, and he did his best that he could last season in the Premier League and had some standout moments. Scored the winning goal against Chelsea, our only home win in the Premier League. He scored a worldie against Manchester United. So he's had some great moments. It'd be horrible, really, for him to kind of fall out with the fan base. But Ipswich fans do tend to fall out with players that either don't sign with us or have left on bad terms when they do eventually return. And they always do eventually return, don't they?
There was a lot of talk around Flynn Downs, wasn't there? We should touch upon that, really. You know, we talk about players and falling out with clubs. He's a man that didn't fall out with your club, but he did fall out with our manager last year, Ivan Juric. And there was a lot of talk. I kept getting messages from different people that he bought a house in Ipswich. Then I had someone else text me saying it was at the training ground at one stage. Was there any truth to any of that at all? Was it just total nonsense?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was truth in it. Whether or not, I mean, I always thought you wouldn't sit. I mean, when you had Juric there, and the deal was nearly done in that January, and I think the reason it didn't happen that we were told was Southampton didn't want to sell to a relegation rival. I understand that makes complete sense to me. I'd be in the same boat if it was Town and you were trying to sign one of our players. So by the same token, why would it make sense for you to sell to what is perceived as a promotion rival this season? Don't make any. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same context, really. So, but yeah, I mean, we were told that he had been at the training ground and his partner was looking at houses and everything. And yeah, it seemed like it was going to be a nailed-on deal. I mean, suddenly this Matasiwa deal happens. I mean, they both play that kind of defensive role, don't they? Yeah. So, I mean, whether or not,
I'm not sure how he fits in with Will Steele and the way Will Steele plays football. I've got to be honest. I tell you what, ever since that fallout he had with Juric, whatever went on, he trained away. There was a lot of talk that he was refusing to train for a period of time. Kind of the fan base don't quite feel the same about him anymore. There's not that massive loving around him anymore. There was a little bit of talk a couple of weeks ago that the Ipswich may spark some interest back in him again. But again, it's going to be, like you say, to sell to what is now a promotion rival. When you look at Ipswich and Southampton, you know, we're definitely going to be fighting each other for promotion, aren't we? Whether it's top two or
on paper, it feels that way anyway. You haven't seen our performance.
You Downs? You take Downs, wouldn't you? Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We get people to come on our show and we'll be going, "Oh, we'd love to have Flynn Downs," and people are going, "Oh, we don't want Flynn Downs." I think even when we beat you 3-2 in the Sarmiento one, when we both went out that season, and he played very well in that game. There were still people around. There were people who were booing him around me through that game. But yeah, I mean, he would be. He came through our academy, and he'd be welcome back, I think. But whether or not he would come back as the starter, I mean, he'd only come as a starter, wouldn't he? And it feels like Matisi was going to be that at the moment, but
Yeah.
don't know.
That's the first part of our chat with Matt today on the channel. We will preview the game a little bit more in a minute or two's time. But before we do bring Matt back in, I've got my dad, Roger, with me. Football Dad is with me. It was a great comeback at the weekend, wasn't it, against Wrexham? Those 2 goals late in the game, it lifted the fan base until we played the midweek against Northampton Town.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine if we'd not scored those 2 goals, how everybody would have felt all week. But it was brilliant. It's what we needed. It's what we'll still needed. I don't think we should be too disheartened about the Tuesday night. The EFL Cup, League Cup, Milk Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever it is called these days. It just starts too soon, and it's an irritant. We got it out of the way. We got a result. Move on. So I'm kind
Getting
of
it over the line is quite important sometimes,
absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I was looking back at last weekend's game, and I was watching the Championship. I think it was a Tier 2 Championship podcast earlier on YouTube before I came over to film this with you, and they were talking about how poor Saints were last week. And I was like, hold on a minute, actually, we had 76% possession, 27 chances at goal.
Yeah.
I don't think we were terrible. I just think it took us a while to get going.
Yeah, we talked about this hangover from last season, and Ipswich, they looked like they had a bit of a hangover from last season as well.
And then they go out the cup in midweek to Bromley. They're Tier 2. They're in League 2.
I think the major turning point on Saturday was Kiefer Moore going off injured. I think he was causing, particularly Ronnie Edwards, big problems. If he'd stayed on, then it might have been a much harder game. But saying that, we got hold of the game. Charles was outstanding in midfield.
I thought he played all right in midweek, actually, Charles.
I think he was fine. He was just he's kind of running around in midfield like a little steam engine, bumming around here, and he's there all the time. He's much Stronger. He's one of the few players I can remember in a long time that's gone out on loan, and it's benefited him. He's come back. He's stronger, and he's much more capable after 40-odd games with Sheffield Wednesday last season.
Somebody put it in my chat, actually. Did they feel that I thought that loan had benefited him? And I went on to say it has. Like you've just said, it absolutely benefited him massively.
Yeah, I'm not a great fan of the loan thing. I mean, a lot of them are revolving doors. They come back and they go out. They come back and they go out, and a lot of them players just disappear into oblivion. They never live up to the potential. But he has come back, and he does look a really good. We always knew he was a good player. I mean, he had a bit of a hard time towards the end of the season when we got promoted. He was in it. Russell Martin didn't really favour him. Then he went out on loan. But I'm glad to see him back. I think he's a real asset.
Good to see him back. I don't think you can read too much into Ipswich's cup exit in midweek. They lost to League 2 Bromley, but EFL exits have been a thing for them in recent years. Last season they got beaten by AFC Wimbledon. The year before it was Maidstone. I think got knocked out by Colchester somewhere along the line as well. So I don't think you can read too much into it.
They're not much more than glorified pre-season friendlies, really. If I'm honest, I think with that cup, if you get through a few rounds, all well and good. If you don't, it's not the end of your season. That's for sure. Yeah.
Matt was talking on the Ipswich segment that we've just had about their issues with players leaving this summer. They've lost Amari Hutchison at the time of recording. He's not long gone. He's on his way to Nottingham Forest. He signed last season for 18 million. He's been sold for 37.5 million. They've had a little bit of turnover of players. Goalkeepers moved on. Matt wasn't a massive fan of the goalkeeper last year, Muric.
No.
It's the same for them. It's a transition, isn't it? They're in the transition like we are.
The problem is it's a transition, and also the fact that the window doesn't close until the end of August makes the whole situation much worse for players that have just been relegated, smaller clubs. I mean, at the moment you can see in the Premier League it's really interesting. Bournemouth, Brighton, Brentford, the big clubs are coming in, picking off their best players. They're waiting they're waiting towards the end of the window, the longer it goes on, which means that all the coaches and managers don't know what they're going to have working with on the 1st of September, which is just ridiculous, really.
Yeah, it does make it absolutely ridiculous. I totally agree. I'm going to bring Matt back in now just for a little bit more Ipswich insight ahead of the game of the weekend. We're going to start our focus now on the game against Town. And we're on the other side of this chat with Matt. We're going to be looking at the team news and all the reaction from the press conference today that Will still had. We're still in a big transition. You're in a bit of a transition. And all of a sudden, the season's well underway. We've already played a league game and a cup game each already. Obviously, I did watch a large part of your game on Friday. Thank you for the insight to the summer, by the way. We're getting insight into the first 2 games now. Brilliant conversation. I hope everyone's enjoying it that's tuning in. If you're not following Matt and Talking Town, please do go and do that. I'm going to leave all their details in the show notes below. Right, first 2 games of the season. I watched the Birmingham game. Felt like a little bit of a hangover for you guys, like it did for us at St Mary's on Saturday against Wrexham. You play a Birmingham side that are buoyant. They're at home. They've bounced up. They've been on such a good winning run. To walk away with it with a point, actually, I didn't think was a bad result. But as Ipswich fans, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, it was a good result at the end of the day because we didn't play particularly well, to the point where we didn't even have a shot on target until we scored the penalty, which is very un-McKenna-esque, really. We really did struggle.
Very surprised.
A lot of it was weighted against us, really. You've got a team. Look, we're coming down with no momentum. We've had a poor season, like you, as we alluded to at the top. We've won. We won 1 game all year in the league at Bournemouth. So we were coming down with no momentum against a side that's got all the momentum, all the optimism, all the positivity. 111 points in League One, spending money left, right, and centre. Yeah, probably eyeing top 6 in the Premier League inside 2 seasons or whatever it is. So I mean, look, we was at polar opposites. Incredibly hostile atmosphere to the point of ridiculous. Really, it was ridiculous.
It's not a nice place to go and play football sometimes.
No, it's probably soured. Yeah, and it probably soured the relationship between the fans a little bit. It was a little bit tasty outside the ground afterwards because they was all pissed off because they've conceded a soft penalty, and it was a soft penalty, so they're getting away from that. But by the letter of the law, it was given. But look, they've got a good team, and they took the lead. And it felt to me like it was only a matter of time before they did. Stansfield got the goal. Ipswich didn't defend that very well, particularly. But we, somehow we found the mindset to keep plugging away, and we got a corner right at the death, and the ball comes over, and Greaves goes up to head, hits Lyndon Dykes on the hand as he puts his hand up. We're given the pen, and George Hurst tucks it away. Like I say, our first shot on target. Bit embarrassing, really, that what we're used to over the last few seasons. That's for certain. We scored 100 goals in League One, so we got away with one now, and I think a lot of Ipswich fans are looking at that result and. You know what fans are like. They're either up or they're down, aren't they? They're incredibly fickle. And, if all the pointing of the fingers comes out. But, you've got to be a little bit measured. You've got to be a little bit patient. And actually, you've got to say fair play to everyone. Keep plugging away. Yeah. Because we could have lost 2-3-0. But we did hold on, and we gave ourselves an opportunity. And when it came with the penalty, we tucked it away. So it was really good. But, I mean, there was a bit of a punch up when we scored the goal. The Birmingham fans didn't like us celebrating in front of them. Chaplin kicked the ball into the crowd, I think by accident. He was trying to just, as the ball's come out from the pen, rebounds out of the net. He's tried to rifle it back in. It's gone over the bar, hit a load of people in the head or something. And all the Birmingham players took umbrage to that, and it all kicked off a little bit. So it'll be very interesting when they come back to us at the end of the season in April to see what's at stake, really. But
could be a tasty now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like that, really. I mean, I like kind of like a competitive rivalry and everything, but to the point where, people are pushing, fighting outside the ground is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's no need. There's no need, is there? You don't want that when you go to football. A lot of young people go as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably in the cup in the week, obviously, probably a sour point to talk about. Poor performance. A lot of changes made, though, by McKenna.
He always does this. Ipswich fans again were raging that we didn't win the game. You don't have to. I said on Talking Town last night. You don't have to do a particularly deep dive into our history to see this generally happens. Yeah. Bromley this season, Wimbledon last season. Season before that, we had quite a good run and got to about the 4th or 5th round. Season before that, we lose to Colchester 1-0. Season before that, we lose to Newport 1-0. And then sandwiched in there in the FA Cup was we lost on TV, BBC to Maidstone. Yeah. So 1 at Portman Road. So we do tend to do this, and generally under McKenna as well. So, I mean, I like the League Cup, but it's clubs now tend to use it, don't they, to completely change the starting 11.
We did,
and by the way, it was a Bromley second string as well that started the game. Certainly.
Wow.
Yeah. And the problem Ipswich had is like a small ground. It was only 3 sides because they're doing one side over there. They're building the stadium up as they've transitioned from non-league to League Two. Great little setup there. About 5,000. I think it was about 500 Ipswich fans were there. But, you know, it was the complete opposite to St Andrews, you know, much smaller crowd. Doesn't seem to be a particularly singing culture there. Hard to get up for it. It soon turned into what felt like a pre-season friendly to me. You can hear the players, you can hear the managers shouting instructions.
Yeah.
It's hot. And the tempo, there was just no tempo to the first half. And we had chances and we didn't take them. It's almost training game level, Martin, to be honest with you. I mean, right on half time, we concede from a corner. Our own mistake again. Christian Morton was back in goal. Comes to get take the high take on the 6-yard box. Doesn't get there. Ball drops. Geezer heads it in. We're 1 down. Getting to half time, we couldn't go in the dressing room. There was a sewage issue. Don't know what, toilets exploded or something. So we had to go back on the team bus. Had to go on the team bus for the team sort. So that's changed the dynamic slightly. I mean, how you can stretch out and, I don't know, get a massage or whatever like that. I don't know. So that changed the dynamic slightly.
Just imagine the players laying down on yoga mats in
the aisles.
Down the aisles on the bus.
On the luggage rack. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that didn't help either. And then we actually played with a bit more urgency in the second half. And Ben Johnson come on for Leif Davis. Whether or not that was a precautionary thing for an injury, I don't know. But Johnson suddenly decided he'd start playing in this like number 10 role, even though he's left back, and he got us back on level terms. He was unlucky actually not to get a second. Game finishes 1-1, goes to penalties. No one's ever confident over Ipswich over pens. And now Ali Al-Hamidi missed the decisive penalty, and Bromley scored theirs, and they beat us. And you know, history repeats. You know, and so you know, you couple it now. We think Ipswich fans really wanted to get the 3 points at Birmingham. We didn't get it. We got the draw, which I still think was a good result on paper. And we've done our usual thing against lower league opposition in the League Cup. And out we go. And now it's all doom and gloom when you come to Portman Road on
what's
Sunday.
The feeling in the fan base? How's everyone feeling? Certainly with Saints heading to Portman Road Sunday, blockbuster, they're labelling it as, live on Sky Sports, midday kickoff. Is there?
That doesn't help us. We don't play well at lunchtimes.
No, I don't like a lunchtime kickoff. I'll be honest with you. I don't
It's
particularly
hard
like
to get up for lunchtimes kickoffs. The only time we've played well in lunchtimes kickoffs is when we beat Huddersfield to get into the Premier League, and even then everyone was nervous that we was kicking off at a funny time. You know, I think I'm right in saying I think that was a lunchtime. But we don't play well. It's the reason why we've never really done well against Norwich over the last 15 years.
Always an early kickoff.
Always lunchtime, isn't it? Yeah, so that's kind of followed us around a little bit. I mean, we did a bit on Talking Town, you'd have seen it, where Martin, the Gov host, said, the
Gov is class.
1 out of 10, he is. 1 out of 10, how you feeling? 1, I'm not going to bother going to the game. 10, it's going to be an easy 3 points. Everyone was floating around 4, 5 or 6, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that gives you a good idea of the feeling in the fan base, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we kicked off the Premier League, as you remember, with Liverpool, Man City back-to-back. And now we're kicking it off with Birmingham and Southampton back-to-back. Pretty much when you came on our show, I said I was expecting in some kind of order that to be the top 3 as the season started. Yeah. So very tough. You're playing 2 promotional rivals straight off the bat. So I think it's going to be a very, very tough game for us, and be different because we're back in front of a sold-out crowd. I'd imagine you've probably sold out your away end. I think it'd be a really good atmosphere. But we've not made Portman Road a fortress over the last 12 months. Our only win there, not in the, we beat Bristol Rovers in the Cup, was Chelsea last Christmas.
Yeah, similar to us. Trying to make your home ground a fortress is so important, certainly in the Championship. And then you go away from home and try and get a run of form away from home and win games. But it is difficult. Your first home game as well, there'd be a bit of, it'd be
expectation.
Imagine it'd be a bit of expectation, but a few nerves in there as well. That was what it was like at St Mary's on Saturday. There was expectation, but there was that hangover from last season. And when we went 1 behind, I was like, oh no, and it dragged on as long as it did. When we scored, the roof lifted, and you can imagine that if you could get a goal, or if you can get a goal at the weekend, a bit first to score, and it lifts your fans. It does really change the whole momentum of the feeling around the ground. That's what happened at St Mary's on Saturday. We go and get the winner, and it went absolutely mental. And I've not seen the ground like it since the playoff semi-final against West Bromwich Albion. It's been such a long time because it's been such a torturous time. And I think the first goal was everything, Matt, at the weekend. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, if you go a goal up, I mean, it's kind of like, because the McKenna story, Ipswich have got a culture. I said this on Talking Town. Ipswich have got a culture really that you can't, because they've done so well. McKenna and Ashton coming in as the CEO. He's now CEO and chair. He's got the dual role now. They've done so well that people have felt if they were to criticise them, you'd be in a massive minority. And we don't really have that on Talking Town. I mean, we'll just call it out as we see it. I'm not going to sort of drink the Kool-Aid or anything. Yeah. I do think it'd be very interesting if you do come to Portman Road and beat us on Sunday, how the dynamic of because there's never been any booing towards McKenna because we've done so well. And he got a bit of a free pass because he'd got us into the Premier League against all the odds. But the expectation is to start strong and bounce back straight away. Yeah. And if you haven't got the result against Birmingham, you've got the fallout after Bromley, and then Southampton come and do what they did again against us in the Premier League back in February. You do it again. It's going to be a very interesting shift, maybe, in how the fan base is viewing the management, because it won't be this dream start that anyone would have wanted. My own personal view is it would probably be a draw. I was like, when the fixtures come out, I was thinking, we get a draw against Birmingham. Actually, given them how badly we played against you back in February, I'll take a draw against Southampton, see what we can pick up away at Preston afterwards, and then Derby following that back at home. They seem like the 3 pointers to me.
Yeah,
I would take a draw against both.
I look at this one at the weekend, walk out of it without getting beaten, pick up a point, and then we got Stoke at St Mary's at the weekend. Then it's Watford away. So I kind of look at it that we just need to get out of like this four game window, which it is, isn't it, before the international break. It's really important not to end up in a bit of a mess and too many defeats before then. That's what kind of worried me a little bit, but hopefully it won't be too bad at the weekend. What's your score prediction, Matt, when you honestly think about it?
I mean, I was impressed with how you came back in that game. It was very end-to-end, wasn't it, Rex? And both sides could have won it, really.
Yeah, it was really end-to-end.
I was surprised that they took the lead. It was a penalty. I mean, they had the ump, didn't they? Because they thought was it Edwards pushed more?
Should have walked, shouldn't he? Really? If you go by the rule book, it's probably a red card.
Proper push. It
was a proper push, and it was really clumsy actually. And to be fair, there was like decision making by the ref actually in the game. I watched your game against Birmingham was bad. Our game at the weekend was really bad as well, and the ref in midweek in the cup was shit as well. I was like, how can you have so many bad refs?
It doesn't bode well. Doesn't bode well for Sunday, does it? It really wouldn't surprise me if you took the lead. I mean, I don't want to be given a free kick around the box. Was it Manning who put that?
Manning, it was a good hit, wasn't it?
It was a really good hit. You still gonna have that Fernandez playing on you for Sunday? You think?
He's still here at the moment. And still said whilst he's here and he wants to be playing, he'd be involved. He scored the goal in midweek, the winner against Northampton Town. Yeah, it was a scrappy game, sounded very similar to your game. Really, they obviously had a proper go at us, raised their bar a bit. We ended up treating it like a pre-season friendly, and it was just a bit of a disjointed game. Really,
you've already done two things we've not managed to do. You've got over the line after being a goal down at St Mary's, and you've beaten the lower league opposition. We've not done that. I think I'm going to say I think it's probably going to be 1-1. I think it'd be a really tight game. I mean, the two games we've had against you at Portman Road, of the last 2 seasons. I mean, look, I don't know. It was just like some unnatural force, divine intervention. It was the Sarmiento goal, wasn't it, to give us the 3-2? Yeah. And then obviously last season you pulled it out late out the bag to beat us 2-1, didn't you? So I think they're a good yardstick really for this one, and I think maybe where we've both been a bit lucky to pull it out of the bag, it might be a 1-1 this time. I'd take 1-1 sitting here right now. That's for certain. Me too. I've seen the last 2 performances.
Yeah, I'd absolutely take a 1-1 as well. And I was thinking, just as you talked about that win at Portman Road back in February, that win on Saturday against Wrexham was our first win in the league since then. So it's a long time since we experienced that winning feeling. Good, Matt, good luck for the season. Aspirations for the season before you go. Automatic promotion, win the league. Is that what you want to see?
Yeah, I've been waxing lyrical about that on Talking Town, as you know. I mean, I feel like we should be champions, and you're probably looking at your squad and thinking you should be champions, and probably Birmingham are looking at their squad and thinking we should be champions, given the money we've spent. So we've all got legitimate reasons to think that we can lift silver at the end of it, but you've got to do it on the pitch. And at the moment, you know, Ipswich fell short really at St Andrews and got out of jail and didn't put in a good enough performance against Bromley, and that's why we're out of that cup. So, you know, something's we've got to have the upward curve moving forward, starting against you. But like I say, I think it's going to be a tough one, and I'll take a draw. But yeah, I think we'll all be up there at the end of the season, top 3, top 4, certainly.
I do, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. I'll be tuning into the reaction show with the Gov after the game on Sunday, because I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear what you guys have got to say. I do tune into the reaction shows. What time does that go out for anybody that wants to tune in, that's watching this show?
It's normally probably about 25 minutes after kick-off. Once we've got through the crowds, we've set up and all that kind of thing. Hopefully, don't always get the gig, can't always work. Coverage and everything outside the stadium, we can't always, because it's done live, so it doesn't always work. So, but yeah, about 20 minutes after the full-time whistle, you can check in on that, and then we'll probably do a deep dive on Monday evening around the actual game when we do our flagship show. That'll be Monday night.
Yeah, I'll be tuning into that. Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Good luck for the rest of the season, other than the weekend against us. And yeah, we'll see you back at St Mary's.
Cheers.
Get you on the show then as well. Thank you, mate. So Matt was saying he's be quite happy to take a point at the weekend, take a draw out of it where they're at right now. We're the favourites. There's no doubt about that. Would you take a point at the weekend?
Yeah, I think I probably would actually, but who knows? Who knows?
Average 2 points a game, which Benjamin Bloom was saying today on the podcast I was watching, that if you can average 2 points a game between the start and this international break, would be a good place to be, really.
I mean, we're never good starters to a season. We very rarely win our opening games. So, you know, we've got, if we could win up there, it would be fantastic. You know, a game against Stoke next weekend, which on paper is winnable. I would, you know, not easily. No game's going to be easily winnable in the Championship. That's for sure. Every game's going to be difficult, but I think I think at least a point on Sunday would be brilliant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Get your score predictions in the comments box below. We want all your opinion, all your thoughts ahead of this one, and we also are going to come on very shortly to a predicted lineup that I've put together. But first and foremost, we need to talk about the team news. Will Steele, he had his pre-match press conference today, Friday, down at Staplewood, and he did bring some team news, and there was a lot of talk around Tyler Diblin. We'll come on to that very shortly. Will Smallbone, he is out injured, as is James Bree. They're both sidelined for this fixture. There wasn't any talk, though, in the segment that I saw about Ross Stewart. He was ill in midweek, but hopefully he'll be fit for the weekend. The manager focused on Tyler Diblin because there was a lot of talk around him. He's been integrated back into training. Wasn't sure if he would travel at the weekend, though. Do you think he'd travel the weekend, Diblin?
I'm of two minds. He should travel. You know, I'm disappointed that players like him continuously get put into these positions, generally by their agents.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he's paid by Southampton Football Club. And all this rubbish about not being in the right headspace to play football. Well, any of the viewers who go out and work every day, if they said they weren't going to come couldn't come to work because their head was in the right headspace, they wouldn't get paid. And I don't see what's any different. I think Diblin is a victim of other people as much as anything. He's probably a young lad. He's still got a lot to learn about life. He's obviously got an agent who's trying to influence him. From what I think we both heard that his parents were quite happy if he stayed at Saints, really. And thinking about it, is it really going to better his career going to Everton, for instance? He's going to spend most of his time on the bench. They could do okay, but they're moving to a new stadium, and we all know that teams that move into new stadiums generally don't have an easy first season.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd be thinking to myself, I want to be staying here for another year.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's interesting they integrated him back. He's gone back into training and he's backing around the squad.
He obviously,
all of a sudden, he's not forced to move, is he? It's not like he's ever come out. I said it in the show the other night. He's never forced to move.
No, he's not. I think it's other people. But, you know, the other thing his agent needs to think about is the amount of players that Saints have moved on over the years. I mean, we've hemorrhaged talent more than any other football club. And you think about it, a lot of them have just not improved. They've not made great of themselves. Some of them done okay. I mean, Gareth Bale, Luke Shaw, an exception, Theo Walcott to a lesser extent, although I think he might have underperformed. Oxlade-Chamberlain, the list is endless. So really, I think Tyler would do well to stay for another season and see how things go and see if we go up, all well and good.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Will still did go on to say it's all going to come down to where he's at physically. He said the players trained really well yesterday. He trained well today. We just need to make a decision based surely on what the team needs and where he's at physically. But we're going to make that call later in the day or tomorrow. He's still a Southampton player. He hasn't gone anywhere at this moment in time.
No, that's right. And once again, another press conference where Will Steele was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
He's calm, collective. There's no ego. There's no me attitude.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's well refreshing.
It was. It's a bit different than the Rangers press conferences of late, and I don't know if anybody's seen the Darren Farley Russell Martin sketch, which is it's too good to be true, really.
Yeah, Darren Farley, well worth a watch. He's on YouTube. He's got social media, does impressions of footballers and managers, and his latest one is Russell Martin. It's well worth a watch, so recommend that. Right, we're going to come on to a predicted lineup. But before I do the predicted lineup, I'm going to ask you a question, actually. 4 current Southampton players who have played for Ipswich. I saw this on another podcast today, and I couldn't get it when they said it. Said, there's your opportunity while we do the predicted lineup, but you have to name me 4 players who have played for Southampton and Ipswich in the current squad. So in the current squad. So you need to think about that while we do the predicted lineup. So I'm not going to give you the answers just yet, but I do know the answers because I saw it, like I said, on another podcast earlier on today. Right, here is my predicted lineup. Here's my thoughts. Right, I don't think the back 5 will massively change, though I do see right back potentially changing. I've popped in on the screen Ryan Fraser playing at right wing back. I'm not convinced that will happen, but I just think it could be an option. If I was the manager, I might go with this. I think Kwasi will definitely come back in. There's no doubt about that.
When Fraser reverted to that position on Saturday, we were a lot better. We were a lot stronger. Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
I've gone with Ryan Fraser at right wing back. I think that could happen. I think the 3 centre-back stays as it is. I don't think Harwood-Bellis will come back in. I don't know what you think about that. Would you bring Harwood-Bellis back in for Edwards? I'm not sure that will happen. He's not quite ready. You wouldn't say so. He's only played the 1 game, so it's going to be unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could be used later in the game, to be honest with you. I'm just a bit worried about Edwards. He's just struggling to pick up that space between him and the wing back. But I think he will get better. I mean, he's just a young lad, but I think Stevens and Kwasi are
Yeah, they're dead starters.
Yeah, they are.
I'll put Manning in at left back because I think he will start. He come on and played well, match winner last weekend.
Yeah, I think he's probably a bit ahead of Welly, really.
Yeah, I do. I think so as well. I think the big decision will come around midfield, whether Matheus Fernandes comes back in and plays alongside Shea Charles, or whether he plays a little bit further forward, whether it's Shea Charles, Flynn Downs, and it ends up with Fernandes playing in the 10. I think Fernandes will start the weekend at Ipswich.
I would have thought it. I mean, unless there's any more noise. I mean, there was a rumour today that he said he's not happy, he wants to go, but again, it's just talk, isn't it? So I would expect him to play. Yeah,
I think he'll play in the 10 with Downs and Charles behind him.
Yeah,
I think he then has a big decision out wide. Robinson to start without any shadow of a doubt. You would have to say he's going to start.
100%. We all of a sudden we are short of wide players.
Yeah.
But Robinson's definite for me.
Right side have thrown in Adam Armstrong as it stands. I'm not sure Adam Armstrong starts actually because I don't think he played that well at the weekend. It's either him or Cameron Archer, though Cameron Archer again doesn't really suit that wide position. I
don't think either of them are going to be effective without somebody like a Ross Stewart, a target man.
I put Ross Stewart in to start.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's so blatantly obvious. The reason Adam Armstrong scored so many goals when we got promoted was because of Che Adams.
Yeah,
100%. And I don't think Ross Stewart's quite in Che Adams' league, but I think they definitely have to do that. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm going with that as well. Give us all your thoughts. Does Ross Stewart get a start this weekend? Does Adam Armstrong get dropped to the bench? We want your team lineup, your selection in the comments box below. And if you don't agree with me, I'd love to get your opinions. Right, I asked that question, didn't I? 4 current Southampton players who have played for Ipswich. I've popped back on my screen. Who are they in the current Southampton squad? It's a tough one.
Flynn Downs.
Yep.
Struggling. I think Alex McCarthy might have played there.
Yes,
alone.
Alex McCarthy's one. Yes, he did. I didn't realise these other 2 played for Ipswich. I've got James Bree and Ryan Fraser. Who got that one right?
Nah, not at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done. Until I heard that podcast today, the second tier podcast, I wouldn't have known that. Calvin Davis played for both clubs as well.
He did.
Obviously not in the current squad, but yeah, he's the Eastleigh manager. He played for them as well.
He did.
Jim Magilton, did he play for both?
I think he did.
Yeah,
I think he did. Go further back, Russell Osman, who, believe it or not, lived in Bewley and lived in my granny's old house, but that's another story.
Oh, wow.
Mick Mills, former England captain as well. They played for both clubs. And Elf Ramsey, who played for Saints before and after the war, was the Ipswich manager in later years, and they won the first division in 61, 62.
Oh wow, interesting stuff. Memories of Ipswich over the years, as we're wrapping up the back end of today's show.
Well, not loads, but again, we were talking on the last week about the Wrexham game and the demise of the first season of manager designate Laurie McMenemy, and we actually lost 7-0 to Ipswich during that. But at the start of February, and I was looking at the team lineup, and it was very much the beginning and the end. There was Eric Martin there, Bob McCarthy, Jerry O'Brien, Terry Payne. The old guard was sort of going. Terry Spinner, who some people might remember, who was a really promising striker, came on as a sub. It was his last appearance. He ended up going to Walsall, and it was the beginning of a decline. I've struggled to remember too many other games. I remember watching Kevin Beattie, who was a hugely rated centre back, doing a fitness test on the Dell. We were in early at sort of like 1:30, and it was really interesting. Bobby Robson was at, and the physio was at putting his paces through it, which you wouldn't see now, but it always kind of stuck in my mind.
Yeah, what's your prediction for the weekend? Should get a score prediction from you.
I'll go 1-1.
I'm going to go with a Desmond, 2-2. I'm going to go with 2-2 this weekend. I think it will be a draw.
Yeah.
Saints to score 2 goals. Damien Downs to get off the mark. He's took a lot of criticism this week. Give him time. Graziano Pella, when he signed for Saints, did struggle a bit to start with. Just need to give him a little bit of time. Everyone's on his back already. Yes, he's had a little bit of a tricky start, but we're only 2 competitive games in. Before we do leave, we're recording Friday night. The Premier League kicks off in a couple of hours' time. It's the opening day. How are you feeling about the Premier League this year? I don't feel any connection to it whatsoever. Obviously, we're not in it. I was going to do my Premier League predictions, and do you know what? I couldn't bring myself to do it because I feel really disconnected with it.
Well, it's like next door neighbours are having a massive party and you're not invited.
That's a good way of putting it.
Really.
Yeah.
I kind of think, I just think it's got so corrupt now. The money's so corrupt, and the old money, like the Man Uniteds, the Liverpools, the Arsenals, they've got the turnover outside. Even Newcastle, the richest club in the world, can't spend the money they need to spend, and it's just a cartel. I mean, I think that chances of anybody getting promoted and staying up there is really, really slim.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I just wanted to pay tribute to former Saints player Kevin Daughtry, who passed away this week. He was a famous face around Southampton. He managed Tottenham, played for Saints youth team. He was involved with the Saints vets, and I think it'd be fitting if we just offered his family our condolences.
Yeah, nice touch. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed the pre-match show. Get all your score predictions in the comments box below. Selected lineup. Who is in yours? Who is out? you can join me for a watch along live this Sunday, because I won't be at Portman Road. Can't make it this weekend, family commitments, but I will be doing a watch along from home. You can join me, and there will be a special post-match reaction show this week where I will have some guests on it as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video, and I'll see you again on Sunday.